the car brand and why it gets your heart racing. You share what makes your motto run at full throttle, and we could be calling you back. Well, guess who we have called back? Dumi in Johannesburg. How are you doing, Dumi?
I'm arriving yourself, Clement. Thank you.
I'm alright, man. So, yeah, tell me, what's your favorite car feature? What's the car brand, and why does it get your heart racing?
I'm a BMW enthusiast, so I love the adaptive cruise control. It makes life so convenient. I think I spend too much time on the road, so those type of features make it comfortable.
Okay, well, Dumi, well, guess what? Just for loving that feature from your BMW, congratulations. You have won yourself these general tickets to the Festival of Motoring. You can get your tickets if you want to go there at howler.co.za and use the promo code RADIO for a special discount. Don't miss out. It's the raw, the excitement, and the ultimate morning vibe only on 702. Well, thank you for listening to the Monday edition of the Clement Manyetela Show live from OR Tambo International Airport this morning as AXA was releasing its financial results. We'll be back in studio tomorrow. Can't wait to chat to you between 9 and 12. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Bye-bye.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Maki Molapo. Construction Education and Training Authority CETA CEO Malusi Shezi says the process followed to appoint an administrator to turn the CETA around is concerning. This is one of 3 CETAs that are under the spotlight after Higher Education Minister Buti Manamela's appointment of the administrators last week. Some political parties have voiced their objections, saying the appropriate process for the appointments was not followed. The MK party criticized Manamela's move, calling it nothing but a patronage project of people aligned to the ANC. Speaking on the Clement Manyetela Show this morning, Shezi said the minister didn't consult the bodies before placing them under administration.
Ours is more of a process followed to get there, not about the individuals. Whether they are clean or not clean is not our issue. Our issue is the process that was followed to place us under administration.
We move to the courts where the family of Gaugelo Marota, killed allegedly by her ex-boyfriend, are calling for justice. The 26-year-old man posted a video on social media last week confessing to the murder. He allegedly stabbed Marota during an altercation at a tavern in Maubane in the northwest. He then attacked his current girlfriend with a knife at her home on the same night. The young man was arrested on Friday and is currently appearing at the Themba Magistrates Court, where he faces murder and attempted murder charges. Jabli Lembata has more.
Tabiso Sima says his daughter, Gaugelo Marota, was killed like an animal, something he cannot forgive. Groups of community members were protesting outside the Themba Magistrates Court in Hammanskraal. Stop GBV, protect our girls, and no bail are some of the words boldly written on protesters' placards. Gaugelo's father says they are frustrated.
It doesn't even show your remorse. You can't even confess and just to say, yes, guys, I did this, and then you ask an apology like that. You can't apologize while someone is not there. So
the 26-year-old's girlfriend has been hospitalized. Jabuli Limbata, Eyewitness News, Themba Magistrates Court.
Staying in the courts in the Western Cape, the court in the high-profile trial related to the murder of steroid king Brian Weinstein has raised its concern about the use of evidence of murdered accused. The matter is being heard in the Western Cape High Court today. Alleged underworld gang boss Jerome Boyson and 11 others are on trial for Weinstein's murder. Weinstein was killed in his Constantia home in 2017. 5 of the accused in this matter have been assassinated since the trial started last year. Carlo Peterson has more.
Western Cape High Court Judge Vincent Saldanha previously asked prosecutors to justify using evidence against co-accused Mark Liffman and Andre Nordier. Liffman, Nordier and 3 others were murdered since the start of the trial. The state says its team is developing new arguments to ensure Jerome Boyson and his co-accused are found guilty. Saldanha has warned the state to address the court about how it intends dealing with evidence related to Liffman and Nordier, as they are no longer alive to defend themselves. Legal teams will today continue arguing whether cell phone records extracted from the phones of Boyson, Liffman and Nordier is relevant and can be used as evidence in court. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News, Western Cape High Court.
Still in the Western Cape, the Civil Aviation Authority says preliminary findings in its investigation of an aircraft crash near a cemetery in George has revealed double engine failure caused the plane to crash. The Rockwell 500S aircraft took off from Vereeniging Airport en route to George on Saturday with a pilot and a lone passenger on board. The pair is recovering in hospital after the aircraft crash landed on Saturday. The Aviation Authority says the pilot was forced to make an emergency landing near a cemetery in Thembaletu after engines failed while it was in the air. The authorities' Sisa Majola.
The aircraft had departed from the Vereeniging Airport with an intent of landing at George Airport with two occupants on board. One was a pilot and one was a passenger. Both the occupants were taken to a nearby hospital.
A preliminary report will be released in 30 days. President Cyril Ramaphosa says the country's foreign policy outlook will be determined by principle and not by pressure exerted by external forces. In light of the United States' recent 30% import tariff slapped on South Africa, Ramaphosa says government is continuing to explore ways to reduce dependence on historical markets. Ramaphosa has just returned from a trip to Japan to strengthen economic diplomacy ties amid the global trade headwinds and tariff pressures. Lindsay Dentlinger reports.
Writing in his weekly newsletter, President Cyril Ramaphosa says the country's economic diplomacy is centered on securing market access, attracting investment and promoting sustainable development. He says South Africa continues to advocate for an international trade regime that is fair, equitable and rules-based. Ramaphosa says government does not want developing economies to be vulnerable to unilateral pressures or protectionist pressures. In a similar vein, Ramaphosa says the country's foreign policy is anchored in multilateralism and the respect for sovereignty. He says South Africa's national interests will forever remain independent, not beholden to external influence, and will reflect the country's constitutional values. Ramaphosa has reiterated government's principled support for statehood for the people of Palestine and Western Sahara, and for an end to Russia's war in Ukraine. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
And in the U.S., the French makers of the IXCHIQ vaccine say American health authorities have suspended the license for the chikungunya virus inoculating drug. Reports of serious adverse effects have prompted bad reviews, in particular over the use in older patients. The FDA issued the order last week, citing 4 additional cases of the side effects, 3 of which involved people aged 70 to 82. French company Valneva obtained U.S. approval of the vaccine in 2023, with IXCHIQ being one of just 2 vaccines approved by the Food and Drug Administration for the mosquito spread virus. The virus presents with symptoms of high fever and severe joint pain that is often debilitating. Public health experts say it could be a potential future pandemic threat as climate change pushes the mosquitoes that spread it into new regions. Gold's trading at $3,367.83 an ounce. The rand's at 17.53 to the dollar, at 23.66 to the pound, at 20.50 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $67.95 a barrel.
Traffic is heavily backed up in the El Dorado Park area. This is on the N12 westbound between the N1 and the Golden Highway. Also in the Devland area, there's roadworks causing heavy delays on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue. In the Mother City Lakeside, the Boys Road is still closed off to traffic. This is between Main and Boys Drive due to an earlier serious accident.
A look at your weather. Clear skies in Gauteng this afternoon. Temperatures are peaking at highs between 29 and 31 degrees. It's clear skies in Cape Town as well this afternoon, with fresh southeasterly winds at a high of 18 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour. Construction Education and Training Authority CETA CEO Malusi Shezi says the process followed to appoint an administrator to turn the CETA around is concerning.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. You're with Mandy Wiener on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. Think bigger, think Nedbank Commercial Banking. On the show today, the Mayor of Cape Town asks for urgent assistance of the anti-gang unit. A discharge application in the Senzo Miwa trial. Funders launch another legal case against the NHI. The families of those killed in the Boksburg blast bring a class action lawsuit. And we'll wrap up the weekend sport. All of that over the next hour.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app. DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Report on 702 and Cape Talk with me, Mandy Wiener. Good to be with you today. Hope you had a better sporting weekend than you did the weekend before. The Springboks won. It wasn't a masterclass, but they won nonetheless. The Poachers got hammered. And whatever football team you support, I hope you had a good weekend too. I've been watching the women's team playing in the Rugby World Cup, also doing very well. But let me know how your sporting weekend went. 072 702 1702, 072 567 1567. We'll speak to somebody who was at that Springbok game in Cape Town, dressed in full Springbok colours shortly. That's the Cape Town Mayor, Jordan Hill Lewis. He's written to the acting National Police Minister, Professor Feroz Kachalia, asking for direct emergency resources to assist with the anti-gang unit. We know that gang violence in the Western Cape, a huge issue in Cape Town specifically, and they're facing an extreme lack of vehicles, firearms, even bulletproof vests, according to reports. So the Cape Town Mayor very worried about this, and you know that they've been pushing for the devolution of the police services. In other words, they've been saying, we want to manage the police ourselves rather than it be a national responsibility. Well, the Mayor joining us now, Mayor Jordan Hill Lewis from Cape Town. Good afternoon, and thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure. Nice to be with you.
What are your concerns around the anti-gang unit?
Well, the Sunday Times published a report yesterday interviewing some anonymous members of the anti-gang unit in Cape Town, saying that many of them are going out on patrol at night without firearms even, because they've had to hand their firearms in for previous ballistics testing and have never got them back. Then they're going on patrol with no bulletproof vests. They say they've only got 5 functional vehicles. Those vehicles they do have, they can't get any spare tires for. So if they get a flat or something, they can't replace a tire. Just really shocking details of the resource crisis that they face. This is probably the specialized unit in South Africa that does the most dangerous work. They also ran a report on some similar shortages in other specialized units elsewhere in the country, like the stock theft unit in the Free State and so on. But really, it's hard to think of a unit doing more dangerous work than the anti-gang unit in Cape Town. And there they are, going into a gunfight without any weapons. That is outrageous. And so that's what prompted it.
Do you get regular updates, considering how big of an issue this is in Cape Town? Would the police national commissioner brief you, or would the anti-gang unit brief you? And are these reports correct, in other words? Do you have a proper understanding of what's going on there?
Yes, my understanding is that those reports are correct. We cooperate quite closely at a ground level with our own Metro Police officers, and our officers often play a supportive role in those anti-gang unit operations on a daily or nightly basis. And we hear the same reports of really dire resource shortages. And I think it's of a piece with the general growing sense of crisis in the SAPS. We've seen the collapse of crime intelligence. We've seen the leadership issues, and I just think that it's coming to a head. As the Sunday Times said yesterday, the thin blue line is cracking, and I think that from our experience that is correct.
Really worrying indeed, and of course you have all the political issues, the inquiry due to start next week. You have been pushing consistently for devolution of police services. Do you think that would remedy a lot of these problems?
I don't think there's any silver bullet for crime in South Africa. I think sustained economic growth over years and years is the closest you'll come to a silver bullet. But what it will do is help a lot. It will get much better results. If I just use the example of illegal firearms, the city officers do amazing work recovering illegal firearms from the streets at more than one a day, around 400 a year. And in 95% of those cases, the people that we arrest are released back onto the streets because of failures in the investigation and prosecution of those cases. That should appall all of us. That is just absolutely a shocking statistic. And we know that if we just take those 400 cases a year, if we could investigate them properly and make sure that they are taken through to prosecution with a full and complete docket without any holes in the case, that we could increase that conviction rate, probably 5-fold or 10-fold. And that would just make a huge difference. That alone would make a huge difference in the fight against violence.
Mayor, a quick question on the WhatsApp line. Mandy, please ask him how he will fund the police should there be devolution.
Well, obviously, you have to have the devolution of the budgets as well. I mean, the police has got a 250 billion rand a year, or maybe 150 billion. I forget, 150 billion rand a year budget. And so it would absolutely need to be devolved, but we would be very confident that we can get more bang for our buck. For example, with the very small number of resources that we currently have in the Cape Town Metro Police, we are already recovering more illegal firearms, doing more active street patrols than the SAPS is able to do with many times more, 10 times more resources that they have.
Mr. Mayor, thank you very much for your time. That's the Mayor of Cape Town, Jordan Hill-Lewis. He has written to the Acting National Police Minister, Professor Feroz Kachalia, asking him to urgently direct emergency resources to the SAPS anti-gang unit, which, according to that report in the Sunday Times, faces a lack of vehicles, firearms, bulletproof vests as well. And the Mayor saying that those reports are largely accurate. How do we expect the police to deal with that kind of level of violence that we're seeing in Cape Town if our police are not properly resourced? Real issues at the police, and of course that police inquiry, the Madlanga inquiry starting next week, which looks at the political issues within the police, and that really needs to be sorted out. As I've always said, we need an overhaul of the police services in this country. We need a total reset if we're going to deal with the issues of violent crime.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently.
I did ask you how you found your sporting weekend. Lereng from Cape Town says, "Hello Mandy, Orlando Pirates, Arsenal and Real Madrid won. And so did the Springboks. I'm thrilled and the sporting weekend was just awesome." That means the president's spokesperson Vincent Magwenya also had a fabulous weekend, Pirates and Arsenal supporter. So congrats to you guys if you are Pirates and Arsenal supporters. Guys, Tottenham Hotspur beat Man City 2-0. And Pirates won. So I'm celebrating.
7:02, the Midday Report, Monday to Friday,
12 to 1 p.m.
Well, let's go to the courts now. A few cases. We're looking at the Senzo Miyiwa matter. We've got a discharge application there. And then in KwaZulu-Natal, the police political killings task team making another breakthrough in the Sindiso Magaqa murder case. And that court appearance is happening today. A former manager of the Umzimkhulu local municipality appearing in court. And Nhlanhla Mabaso, EWN reporter, joining us now. And Nhlanhla, good afternoon to you. Thanks for your time. Tell us about what's happening in court there today.
Indeed, Mandy, the former municipal manager of the Umzimkhulu local municipality, that's Zweli Phansi Steyndis-Khosana, is currently on the witness stand. State advocate Lawrence Gaba is leading evidence. You'd recall that Gaba is part of that political task team that you've mentioned. They had arrested him alongside the then mayor of Umzimkhulu, that was Mluleki Ndobe, who is now late in 2018, and months after Sindiso Magaqa was shot and killed here. But they were then released due to what the state said was insufficient evidence. Another twist and turn in this case, mainly, was that one of the accused, Sibusiso Ngqengwa, decided to plead guilty to the charges brought before the court by the state, saying, "Look, I admit I was the hitman in this case," close quote. And he then further went on to implicate some of his co-accused in the matter, including Mbulelo Mpofana, who the court today has now confirmed is the cousin of the municipal manager, and that Khosana was allegedly the one who organized this team, and then organizing them, he told them that there is a hit on Sindiso Magaqa and other councillors were also shot and killed in 2017. Now the state is making its case here as it tries to prevent, as it opposes as Nkosana's bail. It's making points mainly such as the fact that Sindiso was killed. The court has learned today that the main reason Sindiso Magaqa was killed was due to him wanting to expose corruption around the Peace Memorial Hall, which was built here in Umzimkhulu during the tenure of Nkosana as municipal manager. And the hitman in one of the states in the plea also implicated Nkosana by saying that Nkosana said at a certain time he would want Sindiso Magaqa dead. And when this question is asked here in court, he laughed. Mandy, one of the things that had actually upset advocate Baba, they asking him as to what's so funny about you're standing accused of a murder of a former councillor who was a councillor during your tenure as municipal manager. What is so funny about that? And we heard the magistrate also calling him into order, right? That's what happening currently, mainly, right, inside court with a heavy security deployment. I must mention members of the political trust team alongside those of the National Intervention Unit manning this court as we speak.
Nhlanhla, thank you very much for that. Nhlanhla Mabaso, EWN reporter in court for us in Umzimkhulu, where we have that former municipal manager appearing in the matter of the murder of Sindiso Magaqa. Staying in the court, the Senzo Myiwa trial resuming today. And we were due to hear a discharge application, Section 174 discharge application by the defense. Let's find out what's happened there. Khomotso Modise, EWN reporter. Khomotso, good afternoon. Are we hearing this discharge application?
Good afternoon, Mandy. Yes, we are. We have been hearing from the lawyer for accused number 4, Mthokoziseni Mapisa. He's the only accused that's brought this discharge application. When proceedings ended earlier this month, Mandy, it was unclear how many of the accused would actually be going on with this application. You may remember that we saw Legal Aid South Africa come into court basically to confirm that they cannot finance the discharge application for all of the accused, and basically having said or highlighted the fact that they do not believe that their prospects, or saying that the prospects of success of a 174 are very low, and that's why the board agreed not to finance the entire 174 application for all of the accused. Today, however, it's become clear, Mandy, that only accused number 4 is bringing a 174 application. And I must say that it was expected, Mandy, particularly because he's one of the accused that the state didn't leave a lot of evidence on in this particular trial. He was just, according to the evidence that was led by the state, Mandy, he was spotted by one of the state witnesses, Constable Sizwe Zungu, who claims he was also in Vosloorus on the day that Mayo was killed, and he was among the other accused on that day. So his lawyer, Advocate Zitulele Ngumalo, really bringing to the court that there isn't enough evidence to convict Mapisa for the murder of Senzo Myiwa.
Khomotso, thank you very much for that. Khomotso Modise, EWN reporter, who is following the Senzo Myiwa trial for us. Real growth needs more than just banking, and Nedbank Commercial Banking is your growth partner. Their team of industry experts understand your business and its potential, offering insight to help you see opportunity where others see obstacles. Because when you can see what others don't, you can do what others can't. Think bigger. Think Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
The Checkers Hyper Price Drop is here. Save up to 40% on deals like Steakhouse Classic Man-Sized T-Bone Steak for 140 Rand per kilo, save 20%. Nescafe Classic Instant Coffee 200 grams, any 2 for 199 Rand, save 91 Rand. And Parmalat Bulk Cheddar or Gouda Cheese 600 grams, any 3 for 249 Rand, save 126 Rand. Deals valid until this Sunday, only at Checkers Hyper.
Life has its own rhythm, but muscle and joint pain may upset the beat.
Noflex Gel.
Trust Noflex Gel's triple action formula to target muscle pain, reduce inflammation, and help numb the affected area.
Noflex Gel.
So, get your beat back and reclaim the rhythm of life.
Noflex Gel.
Beat the pain with Noflex Gel and higher strength Noflex Gel Fort. For more information, speak to your healthcare professional.
This September, Joburg Theatre brings you a powerful mix of drama, music, and dance. Dancing the Death Drill, adapted from Fred Khumalo's acclaimed novel, tells the tale of Pitso Mutaung, a South African soldier forever changed by the tragic sinking of the SS Mandy. The cast features Kwenzo Ngobo, Tuli Tabete, and Clint Brink, with choreography by Luyanda Sidia and original music by Msaki. This is a story of love, loss, and remembrance. Catch it from 9 to 28 September 2025 on the Mandela stage at Joburg Theatre. Dancing the Death Drill, a moment in history brought to life. Book now at joburgtheatre.com.
WhatsApp Mandy
on 072 702 1702.
Hey Mandy, just a quick question. Did you study isiZulu or any of the Nguni languages? Because, whoa, your pronunciations are on point, hey? Good job, Mandy. Thanks.
Hi Mandy, Gordon Lang here. Yeah, there's another thing that we do need to celebrate is the Springbok women's victory in the Rugby World Cup over Brazil. They had a tremendous victory over Brazil over the weekend, and we really need to support and cheer for them going through the World Cup. Take care. Cheers.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's exactly why I mentioned the women. They had a great victory, and we need to get behind our women's rugby team. So, yeah, we'll talk about that later. Did I study any Nguni languages? No, I grew up in Polokwane, so I learned Sepedi or Southern Sotho, but pronunciation is really important to me. So my team helps me a lot. I practice a lot. I think it's just respectful to get the pronunciation right. I don't always, and then I laugh at myself when I get it wrong, but I definitely try. And I'm always welcome corrections. You're welcome to send me WhatsApp voice notes if I get anything wrong.
702.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
Let's walk the talk.
12:26 on the Midday Report. A couple of stories that are interlinked here. The first one is that funders are launching another legal case against the National Health Insurance, this time against Parliament for its public participation process. So we're going to speak to Lindsay Dentlinker about that in a short while. But we're also picking up on a condemnation by the parliamentary oversight committees in Parliament around Operation Dudula's threats against both school children and against foreigners using medical facilities. So we're joined by Dr. Simbongiseni Dlomo, who's the chairperson of Parliament's Health Portfolio Committee. Dr. Dlomo, good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for your time today. What are your concerns as the parliamentary committee around what Operation Dudula has been saying and doing?
Yes, thank you very much, and thanks very much to your listener. It's a strong term to use, condemnation. None of us have used that term, condemnation. We haven't.
How would you describe it?
We actually, let's err on the side of getting to speak to the minister and say, are you not going to find time to speak to Dudula, in which the minister did? We were able to identify that there's not only Dudula, there's another institution called March on March, and another one, Progressive Forces of South Africa, to say, let us that to be listened to. Their concerns cannot just be dismissed. But when you engage with them, you then show them that the way of addressing these concerns is not the right way. So you engage by saying there are South Africans who have, because of other reasons, don't have IDs. Could be informal settlements where that has just been bent down. Those people lose everything, including their IDs. There's always delays in getting people to really have their proper birth certificates, IDs. So if we are going to use a criteria of saying you stop at the gate of any facility and whoever does not have, it's actually then to be turned back, you will then be disadvantaging people who are not supposed to be disadvantaged on the basis of that. So just to engage with them, to do that, to say, please don't do this, because we are erring on the side of actually not getting people to be in the right space. Number two, I still insist it's only a healthcare worker who can exist. I mean, let's get of that to say we would want to say South Africans get a full package of services, but any other individual should then be processed by at least get what we call emergency medical services. Now, you can't determine that at the gate unless you're a healthcare worker. So we should allow people to get in there and actually then have processes where everybody is entitled to a healthcare worker by United Nations laws that we need to, as countries, support. Now, going beyond that, I don't know whether all of us are aware. All of us should pay for our service, and we do pay. The only group of citizens in the country who don't pay for services is pregnant mothers and children under 6 years. That is a policy established in 1994. All of us do pay, whether go to a facility, don't have a man there, but they record you, and you are owing that facility for that. Now, even NHI, which I actually was raising, on the NHI, there will be payment. The difference that it won't be at the point of service. We will have collected funds for people to go and then be received. The funding will then come in through appropriations of that by the bill and the act now, and then people will be paid accordingly. The facilities will be paid accordingly. Now I'm saying, denying, so including people, foreign nationals, they should be able to pay. We should just be getting a process now to say, over and above getting emergency medical services, are we able to charge people for the service that they receive? If I am charged because I'm Mrs. Mkwena, and Mrs. Mkwena does pay when they go to Chris Halipa Hospital for this and that, then you should also be able to charge everybody else who are getting any other service other than pregnant mothers and children. Why should we not?
Doctor, thank you. So I'm afraid we have to leave it there because it is news time, but I appreciate you very much, Dr. Sibongiseni Dlomo, Chairperson of Parliament's Health Portfolio Committee. I won't use the word condemnation. That was actually the word used in the News 24 headline that I read, but his views there on what the committee is saying about Operation Dudula. 12:31, time for Eyewitness News headlines.
Thanks, Mandy. Good afternoon. Parliament's public participation processes are again set to come under scrutiny in the Constitutional Court, this time over the National Health Insurance Act. It's one of 3 legal cases launched by the Board of Healthcare Funders over the Act, which aims to provide free healthcare at the point of service. While challenges against the President in respect of this matter are still ongoing, the fund is now simultaneously taking aim at Parliament, saying its processes had merely been a tick box exercise. Persons with disabilities are picketing outside the Cape Town Civic Centre against cuts to the Dollar Rides service. The service, which is used by disabled people to move around the city, will be scaled back from September 8th, making it only available for wheelchair users and people with severe walking impairments. The city's decision means people with visual and cognitive impairments, the elderly, and organizations using the service to transport people with disabilities will be excluded. The city says the changes are due to budget constraints. And in the Middle East, 4 journalists have been killed in Gaza following a bombing at Nasset Hospital. It's understood Israel launched an airstrike on the hospital earlier today, killing 14 people, including the journalists. Those are the headlines. This Eyewitness News and more at 1 o'clock or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage, if you're in the Eldorado Park area, we still have that accident scene on the N12 westbound near the Golden Highway, causing about a 20-minute delay all the way from the N1. Also in Devland, bumper-to-bumper traffic due to roadworks on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue. Traveling through Nooitgesig, heading towards Roodepoort, there's that accident scene on the N1 northbound near the N17. This is causing delays from the Soweto Highway. Also heading in and out of the Joburg CBD, expect some delays on the M2. This is between Main Reef Road and the Crown Interchange in the Mother City. There's that accident scene in Strand. This is on the R44 approaching De Beers Road. Also in Lakeside, Boys Drive remains closed off to traffic between Main Road and Old Boys Drive due to an earlier fatal accident. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a couple stealing glances at each other. In a week, their lives will change forever as they exchange their I-do's. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's a love story on the move. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Choose your health. Choose Clicks. With over 200 Clicks clinics nationwide, convenient and expert care is within reach. Our clinics offer wellness screenings and primary healthcare services for you and your family. We also provide mom and baby services like baby immunizations, family planning, pregnancy care, and more. Our nurses are available to give holistic healthcare advice and support. Book an appointment today at clicks.co.za or on the Clicks app. T's and C's apply. Choose your health. Choose Clicks. Feel good? Pay less.
Let's rewind 6 years, when Twitter was still Twitter, not a letter of the alphabet. TikTok was simply the sound your clock made. And Zoom just meant enlarging a picture. So it makes you wonder, what will the next 6 years bring? Hino trucks now come standard with a 6-year drivetrain warranty, covering everything from pistons to gears. So although a lot can change in 6 years, our warranty promise won't. T's and C's apply. Hino, all the way.
702 and Capitec are showcasing a new, exciting game changer for small and medium businesses, helping you cut costs and grow. Here's how you'll save.
So if we're looking at business is really a team sport. And we want a team who wants to be there. So having an engaged team is really a team that's more productive, it's more creative, it's more committed to the business's success. So building a positive company culture means you've got a team that goes above and beyond, boosting performance.
Small business focus with Capitec. No matter the size of your business, Capitec's got you on 702.
WhatsApp Mandy
on 072 702 1702.
Mandy, why are we tiptoeing around Operation Dudula? I cannot. I'm like, why is it not condemnation? Can we please condemn people who are using vigilante tactics, people who create their own mandate to go to healthcare facilities? There is no role for them to be there. They are creating a very, very horrible situation for healthcare workers and for citizens of South Africa and for foreign nationals. They're dehumanizing people. They are polarizing a situation. They do not have this mandate. They are not allowed to be there. They are vigilantes. We need to condemn this. This is anonymous from Joburg.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I was quite surprised that the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee was so affronted by the use of the word condemnation. We should be having condemnation, but I can tell you now, public sentiment is completely opposed to that. It is very, very much anti-foreigner. I can see it from the messages that come in, the tone of the messages. So I think that from a political standpoint, maybe a bit wary there about using the word condemnation. But I do think that Operation Dudula should be looking at our legislative framework in the country, what is legal, also what is right, but a very vexed issue, and I know where most people stand on that.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently.
I'm watching at the moment the Minister of Tourism, Patricia de Lille, is she's having a press conference ostensibly about the G20, but obviously taking a lot of questions about the dissolution, the dissolving of the SA Tourism Board. She's been responding to that. Let's take a listen in to what she is saying, and she's responding to journalists' questions. And this feed is courtesy of the SABC.
So once we have done all of this, I will then take it to Cabinet for concurrence. Even with Cabinet, there's a Cabinet cycle. So you have to introduce your recommendation first to the Economic Cluster Cabinet Committee. They will then scrutinize the board before the Economic Cluster Cabinet Committee make a recommendation to Cabinet. So that is the process that we will start soon. And the absence of the board will have no impact on our targets. This sector is not dependent on individuals alone. It's not even dependent on whether there's a minister or not. It is dependent on that the number of arrivals in our country and the number of people that travel domestically, that is what is contributing to economic growth and to job creation. The summer season has just started, or is beginning to start now, in September. Last week at Zoo Lake, we launched the September Tourism Month. What also sits in the month of September, that's not dependent on a board or not, but on the sector, public sector and private sector, is that on the 9th and the 10th, we are having, for the first time, an inaugural tourism infrastructure investment summit with all the G20 countries that will be visiting South Africa.
Minister of Tourism, Patricia de Lille, answering questions. I'm not sure I agree with that. I think that we need leadership, we need direction, we need stability. I don't think it's entirely dependent on the sector. And we spoke to the Business Tourism Council last week, who was saying that the board was fine. It was doing an okay job. We need stability. It should have stayed. So, yeah, I think she's going to face a lot of backlash around this because tourism is vital to job creation, to getting our economy growing. And I think that we do need stability.
702.
702.
Mandy Wiener.
Weekdays, 12 to 1 p.m.
As I mentioned earlier, funders launching another legal case against the National Health Insurance, this time against Parliament, for its public participation process. Parliament is to make a decision on that one as well. Lindsay Dentlinger, EWN reporter, joining us now. She's been reading court papers. Lindsay, what exactly is this case about?
So, Mandy, as you said, it's not the first one that the BHF is bringing against the NHI Act, but this one particularly taking aim at the way in which Parliament conducted its public participation processes. And again, this is not the first time. We just saw about 2 weeks ago a scathing judgment coming from the very same court about in the manner in which Parliament had handled public participation in another matter. But in this particular one, the Board of Healthcare Funders saying that Parliament essentially was going through the motions, just doing a tick box exercise. And although public participation was done by both the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces to gauge the views of all the provinces, they just did not have adequate information at hand to make any informed decision. The fund claims that Parliament didn't even appear willing to listen and consider public views, and it seemed to just go with what they wanted to do anyway, because it was in the run-up to an election, and the fund contends that they were hastening this process so that it could be used as an electioneering tool. But just in terms of the information that was put to the public, the fund says there was no way of knowing, and still we do not know what kind of services will be offered under this act. And secondly, Mandy, the very important thing about what it will cost. And so, in effect, the healthcare administrator is saying that Parliament was essentially signing a blank check when instead it should be responsible, it is responsible for allocating money to implement this act, but how could it have made a rational decision when it doesn't even know how much this will cost? So that's in essence part of that application that it's now launching in the Constitutional Court.
And how is this different to the initial case?
Well, as you said, there are numerous cases. So the other case that this fund has is currently in the High Court as well as in the Constitutional Court. It's lodged at the same case in both courts, and that really is against the President and his decision then following on from Parliament to sign that bill into law. And that one, there was an outcome in May where the Gauteng High Court said the President should present his record of decision of how he then applied his mind to sign this into law. You will recall that there were health fund administrators and others who then appealed to the President after this parliamentary process, which they say is flawed and the court should set aside. They then appealed to him directly and asked him to send the bill back to Parliament. He didn't do that. He went ahead and signed it into law. And so the High Court said that he was then responsible to provide how he had come to that decision to the court. He is subsequently appealing that decision, and so in that instance, that matter grinds to a halt. But in this particular one, the funds now taking aim directly at Parliament for those processes that led to the President signing it into law.
Lindsay, thank you so much. Lindsay Dentlinger, EWN reporter, looking at that legal action. On the WhatsApp line, NHI must come into place quickly so that the middle class can feel what the poor people in the townships are experiencing. Private hospitals will be overwhelmed because both poor SA citizens and illegal foreigners will flock to private hospitals. And then two messages here. And I've fully anticipated this, but I think it's important to reflect. Hi, Mandy. Why are we saying there must be condemnation, anonymous, until one of your own cannot find a bed in a South African hospital and the beds are full with foreigners? Someone finds a bed for him and the bed is on a hospital passage for days. Then people will understand why not condemnation for police and home affairs officials who are allowing illegals in our country. Some are legal refugees whose countries are not at war, that's in inverted commas, refugees who fill up the N1 going home all the time and coming back. And then, Mandy, clearly you and your anonymous caller don't live where many of us live, in these townships and informal settlements that are overwhelmed by foreign undocumented learners. That's why you easily throw platitudes at those of us who can't get services because of foreign nationals, most of whom come specifically for those benefits, depriving South Africans of services they have a right to. Prefer not to publicize my name. You are absolutely correct. My lived experience is completely different to yours, and I appreciate you pointing that out. And I understand the frustration why so many people are in favor of Operation Dudula because of the pressure on our services, on schools, on hospitals as well. But I think that there is a way to do things, and the way that Operation Dudula is doing it is not legal. And I think that's the point that is being made by the chairpersons of the Portfolio Committee.
Afternoon, Mandy. There is nothing wrong with what Dudula is doing. Nothing. No need to condemn what they are doing. And people who are saying that Dudula, what they're doing is illegal and they're violating the rights of people, they don't know what they're talking about. Look at what is happening in the United Kingdom. In Epping, a judge ruled that migrants that are coming in boats must be removed from migrant hotels. It's not happening only here, it's happening around the world. We have a broken immigration problem in this country.
The sizzle, the aroma, the perfect cut. Your steakhouse nails it every time. It's the place for celebrations, end-of-week rewards, or just a craving that needs the best. From service to flavor, they deliver every time. Now's your chance to say, I see you. Vote for your favorite in Gauteng's greatest steakhouse category at primemediaplus.com. Voting closes 27th August. Make it count, because Gauteng isn't just the hub of business, it's the home of excellence, and excellence deserves your applause. Gauteng's greatest awards was 702, powered by Yoko.
Spar brings you super savings. Get 1 liter 6-pack Spar Long Life full cream, low fat or fat-free milk, excluding lactose-free, for $89.99 with Spar Rewards, or 900-gram original Bokoma Wheat Bix for $49.99. Save 15 Rand with Spar Rewards. Plus, you could win your share of 6 million Rand in instant cash. Prices valid until 7 September 2025. While stocks last. T's and C's apply.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a family driving to their new home, carrying boxes stacked with plates and toys and memories. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's a new beginning, a fresh start on the move. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
The Festival of Motoring, powered by Westbank, brings the spirit of Ubuntu to the Kyalami Grand Prix circuit from the 29th to the 31st of August. Experience thrilling track drives, 4x4 adventures, drifting, supercar hot laps, and F1 demos. Get your tickets on Howler and use the promo code RADIO for a special discount. The Festival of Motoring, the power of new.
WhatsApp Mandy
on 072 702 1702.
Dudula is actually representing a lot of us, well, it's personally representing me as a South African, and a lot of us out there, that the government refuses to listen to us when we're saying enough of these porous borders, and these foreigners are absolutely making life difficult for an ordinary South African to access healthcare. So I don't understand what is it that the government need to do in order for them to listen to people. Trust me, what Operation Dudula is doing, it's not something that South Africans are absolutely oblivious to.
Thank you very much for that WhatsApp voice note. On the WhatsApp line, Mandy, you are always against South Africans when they take action against lawlessness. Okay. And then, good day, Mandy and 702 listeners. Anonymous person who's just called in condemning Operation Dudula's actions, calling them a vigilante group, is probably on the payroll of undocumented foreign nationals. Operation Dudula is representing some of us South Africans who are very worried to see our healthcare system collapsing before us. How do you render such a service to individuals who enter your country illegally and claim you are complying with United Nations rules? Very clear sentiment there. Thank you very much for all of those messages.
702.
702.
Mandy Wiener.
Weekdays, 12 to 1 p.m.
12:50 on the Midday Report. Well, it's been nearly 3 years since that gas tanker explosion in Boksburg on Christmas Eve in 2022. And now we're seeing the families of the victims who died in that blast suing government for 65 million rand in a class action lawsuit. 41 died, 26 were injured. So let's take a look at this now with Tabiso Goba, EWN reporter who joins us in studio. Tabiso, good afternoon to you. Tell us about this court action that's being brought.
Good afternoon, Mandy. As you said, it's a class action lawsuit. It involves the families of the victims of the 41 people that died, but also the 26 that suffered very, very serious injuries. So what are they citing, Mandy, is obviously some of the people that died are breadwinners. So a lot of those families have lost financial support, especially in terms of the people that got injured. There was a lot of, they needed a lot of medical assistance, which obviously they didn't get help from. There was property damage and also grief and emotional stress. Now, in terms of the people that are cited in this lawsuit, it's actually 3 entities. I'm not going to name them for now because we haven't sort of got responses from them, but it's the company, obviously, that was involved for the transporting of the liquid petroleum gas. What we do know, you do remember that the company did come out publicly and said that the driver went in a wrong direction. This wasn't the predetermined route. He wasn't supposed to be in a residential area. So now in the lawsuit, they've said that, this company has actually failed in terms of early detection systems, and that if they had detected early that their driver was actually driving in the wrong direction, there was actually protocols that are in place to actually make sure that the driver does get to his destination safely. There's also the labor broker that was also cited in the lawsuit. Now, the labor broker is cited in the fact that the lawsuit claims that the labor broker didn't ensure that the driver was properly trained in the handling of hazardous or transporting of hazardous materials. And then the last one is the Ekurhuleni municipality. So Ekurhuleni municipality, there's 2 things that the lawsuit is claiming it's culpable for. One is the poor signage. You'll remember that there was a poor signage on that low-lying bridge. That's where the truck got stuck and eventually ended up blowing up. So there was poor signage there. So the lawsuit is saying that the municipality failed in that. But also, most importantly, the municipality is saying that the conduct of the fire department wasn't up to standard in terms of evacuating people to the required standard. So they say that the distance for a gas tanker carrying about 6,000 liters of liquid petroleum gas, the evacuation radius should be between 1.2 to 1.4 thousand meter radius. Obviously, that wasn't complied to, leading obviously to the many people dying and the many injuries that people suffered.
Very interesting case. So we'll watch that one closely. Tabiso, thank you very much. Tabiso Goba speaking to us there about that class action being brought by the families of those who died and were injured in the Boksburg blast. Real growth needs more than just banking, and Nedbank Commercial Banking is your growth partner. Their team of industry experts understand your business and its potential, offering insight to help you see opportunity where others see obstacles. Because when you can see what others don't, you can do what others can't. Think bigger. Think Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Hi everyone, I'm Dean McPherson, the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure. Since I was appointed just over a year ago, we've laid a firm foundation in the department, and after tabling our 7.6 billion rand budget for growth, we're now turning plans into action. That means that we're moving government departments into our own state-owned buildings to save you billions of rands in rent. We're unlocking public land to build affordable housing, create shelters for victims of gender-based violence, and to boost food production. We're also tackling corruption head-on without fear or favor. And we're giving young South Africans real opportunities through a reformed EPWP program that focuses on skills and long-term jobs. And this is only the beginning. With your support, we're building a capable and professional department that delivers infrastructure, creates jobs, and puts public assets to work for the public good. The best is yet to come because we're building a better country for you, brick by brick.
Are you living with diabetes? Tired of painful fingerstick tests? Introducing a new continuous glucose monitoring system from Abbott Laboratories. The Freestyle Libre 2 system sends glucose readings straight to your compatible smartphone. With minute-by-minute glucose readings, optional glucose alarms, and excellent accuracy, the Freestyle Libre system is here to support you in the management of your diabetes. For more information and where to buy your Freestyle Libre 2 sensor, visit www.freestylelibre.za.com. Now available at your local pharmacy.
Sports Wrap
Sports Wrap
on 702 and Cape Talk.
Mwanda Mateza joining us now to discuss the weekend of sport. Mwanda, good afternoon to you. Let's start with the Springboks. They won this weekend, but it wasn't exactly a stellar performance.
Yeah, absolutely. Good afternoon, Mandy. You're right. It was an attritional sort of test match, wasn't it, with the Boks reverting to type and going back to the more tried and trusted and more conservative game plan, one would say. And it was always going to be the case after that loss at Ellis Park, almost 2 weeks ago now. But I think there will be a concern, though, for the Springboks because of the fact that they didn't exactly overpower or outmuscle Australia. And for large parts of that match, the Australians were in it. But for, 3 very kickable penalties that the Wallabies chose to kick for the line instead, we could have been talking about a very different outcome now if it wasn't for something like that. But yeah, I think it is a little bit concerning for my mind that the Springboks haven't really played well this entire year, I don't think. Funnily enough, apart from the first 20 minutes at Ellis Park, I don't think watching them has been all that enjoyable.
Especially considering how expensive those tickets are. The women are doing pretty well in the World Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a more enjoyable match to watch, in actual fact, with the Springbok women beating Brazil 66 points to 6 in their opener. It's also the biggest one they've ever recorded at a World Cup. Now, a lot of people are hoping that the Springbok women will go on and make the quarterfinals for the very first time this year, and the chances are really good that they will do that. And there's some sterling players in that side as well that can
number
make that
8,
a possibility.
that number 8 is a machine.
Yeah. Asezahele, yeah, she ended up scoring a hat-trick, and she's actually one of the most dominant players in the world in her position, which is quite something considering that she isn't playing for one of the only professional team, in South Africa. She plays for Boland Damas, and she gets to really, really enjoy her rugby on the world stage and put her name out there, and I think she did really, really well there. But there's also some players like Nadine Roos, Libby Janssen van Rensburg, and Behandre Dolf, who are players who are driving that team forward and who a lot will rely on. But yeah, things are looking well for South Africa at the moment. Their next game is against Italy next week. Italians are currently ranked 7th in the world. That's 5 places above South Africa. So it will be a much tougher test. But I do think that it's one that the Springbok women will fancy themselves in.
And then Pirates beat Sundowns. Yes, Pirates beat Sundowns to make it through to the MTN 8 final. I'm just reading you a WhatsApp. Hi, Mandy. I'm anti-Orlando Pirates, making a mockery of Masanda's Wana, Moses and Katlehong. But Orlando Pirates beat Sundowns.
Yeah, absolutely. And they go through to their 4th consecutive MTN 8 final and a chance to defend their title once again. It's a little bit of a surprise for my mind, in actual fact. I did think that Sundowns would have an easy time of it playing at home in the second leg of their semi-final tie, but it wasn't to be. And Sundowns rather had the better of the opportunities and created chances. And Ikram Reyners hit the post in the second half, which was very close. to Pirates getting eliminated. But like I said, it wasn't to be at the end. And I think Pirates have a lot to owe their goalkeeper, Sipho Chen, not only for saving the 2 penalties in the shootout, but also from that first leg where he was really a man under fire, but ended up keeping all of those shots out. So, yeah, a lot to thank for Sipho Chen for Orlando Pirates fans.
And then very quickly, I have to say Spurs beat Man City, so we have to talk about that. Keith says Spurs every season start like a bat out of hell, only to fall away late in the season. Can't see a repeat of last season. What do you think?
No, Mandy, I told you last week that I really rate Thomas Frank as a manager. And I think he's probably the person that Spurs have been missing. Look, I'm not going to brag about Eberechi Eze choosing Arsenal over Spurs or anything like that, but he certainly does have the squad at his disposal, and he knows how to use it. I mean, he was at Brentford for a few years, and he's a person who knows how to use the little head that he's got to make something really, really great. And I mean, I know that Spurs are Man City's bogey team, for instance, but I do think that they've got something. There's something that looks different or feels different about Spurs this season, and I can see them going really, really far and possibly a top 4 finish.
Oh, let's hope. Keith also says Man United believes in Ubuntu. That's why they don't want to beat and humiliate other teams who have lesser than them. Mawande, thank you so much. Mawande Mateza wrapping up the weekend's sport with us. Thank you so much for listening. The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk, brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. Think bigger. Think Nedbank Commercial Banking. It's 1 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Families of the Boksburg gas tanker explosion victims launch a lawsuit, and grief-stricken family of a murdered woman calls for justice to be served. Good afternoon, I'm Mikey Malapo.